All right, this one's a bit of a doozy. This video is going to be all about the concept of unconditional love. Well, what is unconditional love? I feel like that's something that is kind of hard for a lot of people to truly grasp nowadays. I feel like love has become something that is so conditional that the concept of unconditional love is like, scary. The idea of just loving everybody for who they are and accepting them and not, seeing them as enemies and not seeing their opinions as negative to yours and not seeing people as, just objects in the way of your dreams and your goals. Like, what if instead maybe we just unconditionally loved everybody, and then all of a sudden everybody became a stepping stone and a helper in our journey rather than somebody that was just trying to get in the way of whatever we're trying to accomplish. Unconditional love is a space that not a lot of people are in and not a lot of people know how to be in, because I feel like love is something that has been taught to us as being very conditional. Love in modern society is something that if we do this wrong, the love gets taken away from us. If we do this wrong, the love gets taken away from us. We've just been very trained into this sort of way of living that we are scared of doing things wrong because we've just been shown and told that if we do something wrong, then we'll get fired, then we'll get kicked out, then we'll lose our partner, then we'll do this and that. But I mean, I would say that says just as much about the foundation that we're creating things on as anything. But yeah, it's very hard to make things work in a space of conditional love, because if mistakes happen, if accidents happen, and there's no clear, concise communication that is done in a way in order to benefit a relationship, rather communication is done in a way, or it just isn't done to push a relationship towards catastrophe and disaster and destruction, well, I mean, yeah, communication is so key for so many things, if not everything. Communication is like being able to communicate effectively with the people around you is vital to existence, because communication is all we have. Communication in both verbal ways and body language ways is priceless. Being a good communicator in an environment is priceless, because being able to step into a room and hear every sort of opinion and hear everybody's side and bring them together in a way through unconditional love that sees the goals and the achievements and the things that everybody's trying to achieve, the things that we're not necessarily in each other's way, we just don't see how we relate and how we connect. We're all trying to create better. Sometimes getting too focused on better for the self gets in the way of better for the whole. But that's where unconditional love steps in, is because it's the realization that in order to fully love and accept others, you have to fully love and accept yourself first. When you fully love and accept yourself first, then you realize that in some ways, loving yourself is no different than loving another, because you are just as imperfect as everybody else around you. You are just figuring things out as everybody else is around you too. We are all in this process together of trying to figure out who, what, why, and how the heck we're making this all work. There's questions. We're trying to figure this out together, and yet by just focusing on the self and being like, no, but this is what I want and you can get out of my way, what does that accomplish? What does that accomplish as a group? What does that accomplish as a community? What is focusing on the self only? There's nothing wrong with desiring things for yourself, but it's the question of when it becomes self-centered. You see, I'm a believer in oneness. I'm a believer in mass consciousness, and that we are all sharing this experience together, and that we exist in this together, and we are doing this together, and we are trying to accomplish a positive world together. The way you do that, in my opinion, it has to be done through unconditional love. But we can't unconditionally love another until we unconditionally love ourselves, because everything starts from in here. If there are blocks in here, then that will translate into everything that happens outside of you. This needs to be clear in order for that to be clear. So find the love for everything that is you, and you will see that other people's struggles, other people's pains is just them trying to find ways to cope with what's going on in their mind as well. Unconditional love is vital, and there's nothing scary about it. In fact, I'd actually say it's probably one of the most freeing things, because it takes you out of a space of judgment for others and just has you realizing that we're all in this together. Unconditional love just loving, you know? But being in unconditional love doesn't mean you always have to be happy. It doesn't mean that you always have to go up to people and say, no, but I love you, and that therefore the problems don't exist because I love you unconditionally. No. If you step away and you're pissed off in your mind, or if you're upset in your mind, then the unconditional love doesn't change anything. You're still frustrated. You're allowed to be frustrated. You're allowed to process things as you have to. But the thing is that by putting yourself in unconditional love, not only do you not create attachments to things, but you also see life needs to be seen as energy, in that our mind simply just wants to flow. Our mind just wants to go with the flow, and it doesn't want to be caught in a cycle of thought so heavily. When we're stuck in a cycle of thought, when we're stuck in a cycle of judgment and seeing others as different than ourselves, and not just loving everybody for as they are and respecting them for what they desire and trying to see both sides, it doesn't mean you have to get along with everybody, but you can just respect them for who they are, you know? If we get caught up in our head, and if we're caught up in cycles that are outside of love, we're just making life harder on ourselves. You know, there comes a point where getting caught up in your own head about the struggles that you see in another person, or getting caught up in your head about just a frustrating thing that happened to you by another person or with another person or something, if you're caught up in it, there comes a point where your destructive thinking habit is only becoming destructive on you. It's only taking a toll on you and where you're at, you know? In some ways, the goal at the moment is to free the flow of mass consciousness. We are all just trying to step into this state of flowing and being and existing. And right now is a time of working through these big blocks that exist in the world and in society, so that way we can come together in an unconditionally loving space, working through any blocks and any judgments to just accept who we are as people, as energetic beings, and as creators of reality. More than anything, we are just trying to learn how to coexist, not only with one another, but with nature, with our environment, with where we live, and with what we are doing and how we are doing it and why we are doing it. We need to have a stable understanding of what we are doing in order to properly carry it out. But when we wake up feeling lostless and confused and we just don't know what we are doing here, then heck yeah, that's hard. Then heck yeah, it's hard to love because you just feel like everything sucks. Why should I have to do it anyways, you know? That's what happens. So for me, finding space in unconditional love is the answer, because it may not be the answer to every problem, but it starts us off. It helps us to see past the struggles, see past the blocks, and just realize that as people, as communicators, as society, we are just trying to make this work. So yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think. What does unconditional love mean to you? What does it mean to be in a space of just respecting people and just letting them be who they are and just allowing people to flow as they are? What does that mean to you? I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever, do all of it. And let me know what sort of videos you want to hear from me as well. If you have any questions, you know, that's what gets me thinking, that's what gets me going, and has me realizing what sort of things people want to hear about, you know, because I can talk about a lot of things, but it helps to have a bit of direction sometimes. So thanks for checking it out. This is Aiden of Studio Raphael, and yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.